Melody Shari has always been the picture of strength, poise, and grace. But behind the glamour, there's been a heartbreaking secret she's kept from the world. A devastating health battle, one that nearly took everything from her. Today, she finally breaks her silence, and what she reveals will leave you speechless. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear will change the way you see her forever. Melody Shari, a beloved reality TV star from Love and Marriage, Huntsville, has been through more public trials than most of us could ever imagine. From a highly publicized divorce to countless social media attacks and business pressures, Melody has always managed to hold her head high. But beneath that calm exterior, she's been silently fighting something far more serious than anyone could have guessed. For years, fans speculated about her sudden weight changes, moments of fatigue during appearances, and unexplained absences. But no one could have predicted that a potentially life-threatening disease was behind it all. And now, in a raw, unfiltered moment of honesty, Melody is revealing her truth, and it's as emotional as it is shocking. In this video, we're diving deep into the full story behind Melody Shari's hidden health battle. From the subtle signs she dropped over the years, to the exact moment she chose to come clean, and how it's impacting not only her personal life, but her entire future. You won't believe how long she's been hiding it, or the reason she almost never revealed it at all. So grab your seat, because this is where it gets real. From the outside looking in, Melody Shari seemed unstoppable. She was launching skincare lines, booking speaking engagements, co-parenting her children, and still showing up flawlessly for filming. But her most loyal fans started noticing something wasn't adding up. Back in 2022, a handful of viewers began commenting online about Melody's physical appearance. "She's glowing, but she looks thinner than usual," one Instagram user noted. Another wrote, "Melody just doesn't look like herself lately. Is she okay?" While most dismissed these concerns as the usual pressures of reality TV and motherhood, others couldn't shake the feeling that something more serious was going on. In some episodes of Love and Marriage, Huntsville, Melody could be seen quietly wincing during group scenes or excusing herself early from events. At first, it looked like fatigue, but when those moments started stacking up, fans began asking, is it stress or something deeper? Melody's live streams and interviews also gave off subtle clues. She occasionally talked about needing rest, not feeling her best, or struggling with energy, yet she never offered specifics. When a radio host once asked her point blank, "Girl, you're glowing, but you okay?" she simply smiled and replied, "God is good. I'm pressing through." Now we realize she was pressing through something major. Friends close to Melody have shared that she was dealing with frequent doctor visits, blood work, and medication long before the public had any idea. But true to form, she kept it all private, never letting on that her life behind the scenes was being consumed by medical tests and serious conversations with specialists. So what exactly was going on? We'll get to that soon. But first, let's talk about why Melody kept it all hidden for so long. Melody Shari didn't just stay silent about her condition because she wanted privacy. This silence was a survival strategy. When you're a Black woman in the public eye, especially one who rose to fame through a reality TV show centered around relationships, betrayal, and personal reinvention, vulnerability often feels like a luxury you just can't afford. Let's not forget the journey she'd already walked through. Melody had just survived a very public and painful divorce from Martell Holt. She rebuilt her identity as a single mother, an entrepreneur, and a spiritual woman standing tall in her truth. So to now admit she was battling something as heavy as a chronic or potentially life-threatening illness, it wasn't just scary, it was risky. There's this unwritten rule in the world of reality TV and public influence. Keep smiling, keep shining, and above all, don't show weakness. Because when you do, the same internet that once praised you can turn vicious in a heartbeat. For Melody, this wasn't just about pride, it was about protection, protecting her children from unnecessary worry, protecting her image as a strong Black woman, protecting her brand, her businesses, and the empire she was building one contract at a time. In an interview resurfaced from early 2023, Melody said something chilling in retrospect. When asked about handling public pressure, she replied, "I don't really get to fall apart. People expect me to be the blueprint. If I stop, everything stops." That single quote reveals everything. In private, sources close to her now say Melody was facing some very real, very draining symptoms. But she didn't want her kids to worry, so she would smile through the pain. She didn't want her fan base to speculate, so she would show up on Instagram Live, beat face, filter on, speaking encouragement. And she certainly didn't want the media to turn her story into a pity party or a scandal. So she stayed quiet. Even behind the scenes, it was rare for Melody to open up fully. A close friend who recently spoke to a blogger shared, she would hint at it sometimes, like saying she had another test or was tired all the time, but she'd always follow it with a joke or change the subject. I think she was trying to protect everyone around her from worrying. But that protection came at a cost, because as she poured out strength for everyone else, she had little left for herself. And this brings us to the breaking point. The moment Melody realized she couldn't do it all anymore, and she had to finally tell the truth. For months, possibly even years, Shari put on the strongest face in the room. She balanced motherhood, media appearances, brand partnerships, and the complicated dance of co-parenting with an ex who constantly remained in the headlines, all while silently carrying the burden of her health issues. But as we all know, no matter how strong a person is, the body has its own limits. And eventually, it speaks louder than any curated Instagram post, any red carpet smile, or any well-rehearsed TV moment. According to insiders close to Melody, her symptoms intensified drastically in early 2024. What once were bad days became debilitating weeks. Fatigue turned into exhaustion. Migraines became blackouts. At one point, it's rumored she fainted during a business meeting and had to be taken to the hospital discreetly, without alerting the press or her fan base. At the time, her team chalked it up to overwork and stress. But behind the scenes, her doctors were urging her to slow down, and most importantly, to stop hiding. One even warned that if she didn't rest, her condition could worsen permanently. But Melody resisted. Because again, telling the truth meant opening herself up to public dissection. Yet her body didn't care about public opinion. One night, as told by a friend who chose to remain anonymous, Melody collapsed at home while trying to prepare dinner for her kids. One of her children had to call a family member for help. That was the moment that shattered her walls. She realized she could no longer hide her health issues without putting her children and herself at risk. No brand deal, no reality TV moment, no strong Black woman narrative was worth dying for. A week later, she quietly stepped back from several business ventures. Fans noticed she stopped posting regularly on social media. Her once consistent inspirational stories became fewer. Brand promotions slowed down. Melody Mondays were missing. People began to ask, where's Melody? The silence became louder than ever. By mid-2024, she finally informed her inner circle about the diagnosis, still under wraps to the public at this point, and said she would be taking an indefinite break to focus on her health, her children, and her healing. Sources claim she broke down in tears during that private meeting, saying, I don't know how to rest, but I have to. I have to live for my babies. Those words marked a massive shift. For someone who's been labeled everything from boss to survivor, admitting she needed help was perhaps her bravest act yet. What happened next took everyone by surprise. A quiet retreat into healing, followed by a deeply personal and emotional comeback that would finally reveal the truth she'd been holding inside for so long. In the next section, we'll explore the exact diagnosis, what she finally admitted to her fans, and how the public reacted. When the silence became unbearable and the rumors spiraled into full-blown speculation, ranging from nervous breakdown to terminal illness, Shari knew it was time to speak. Fans had waited, worried, and whispered. Her disappearance from the public eye had not gone unnoticed. The same woman who once lit up timelines with her radiant smile and empowering messages had gone eerily quiet. Then, in a moment of raw bravery, Melody broke her silence in a video unlike anything her fans had ever seen. There were no filters, no makeup, just Melody, real, vulnerable, and emotionally bare. Sitting on her living room couch, her voice trembling but resolute, she began, I've been hiding something from y'all for a while now. Not because I wanted to lie, but because I didn't know how to tell the truth without falling apart. She paused, collected herself, then said the words that would send shockwaves through the Love and Marriage, Huntsville community. I've been diagnosed with lupus. Her voice cracked. Her hands visibly shook. But her gaze, fierce as ever, held the camera's lens as if daring the world to look away. Melody explained that the chronic autoimmune disease had been slowly taking over her body for over a year. The flare-ups had intensified, especially in the months following her divorce from Martel. Stress, emotional trauma, lack of sleep, all of it had been silent fuel for the fire raging inside her immune system. She described nights where she couldn't get out of bed, days when her skin would break out in painful rashes, fevers that came out of nowhere, hair loss, memory lapses, and most of all, crippling fatigue that made even the simplest tasks feel like running a marathon. "I didn't want people to see me as weak," she admitted, "but this illness, it humbles you. It forces you to slow down, to feel, to listen." For fans who had followed Melody's journey from season 1, cheering her on as she walked away from betrayal and built her empire brick by brick, this confession felt like being invited behind the curtain, into her pain, into her strength. She revealed that it was her children who gave her the courage to go public. Her daughter had once looked at her while she was resting on the couch and innocently asked, "Mommy, are you gonna die?" That question shattered her, because it was one thing to be sick, but another to see fear in her child's eyes. From that moment on, Melody vowed to stop pretending and start healing, for real. She ended the video with this poignant message: "This isn't the end of my story. I'm still here. I'm still fighting. And I know now that being vulnerable, that's strength too." The video went viral within hours. Celebrities, fellow cast members, and fans flooded her comment section with love and prayers. Even those who had once criticized her applauded her courage. Lupus warriors from all over the country began sharing their stories, using the hashtag #HealingWithMelody. This moment wasn't just a confession, it was a call for community, a new chapter in Melody's journey. But just as she began to find peace in her diagnosis, the drama behind the scenes began to brew once more, this time involving Martel and a custody battle that would test her strength all over again. As Shari tried to rebuild her life with grace, transparency, and a new focus on healing from her illness, many assumed that perhaps, just perhaps, the worst of her storm had passed. But what unfolded next blindsided everyone and revealed just how deep the wounds between Melody and Martel Holt really ran. The man she once stood at the altar with, the man with whom she shared 4 beautiful children, was about to become her greatest adversary in the courtroom. It started subtly: whispers, leaked documents, cryptic Instagram posts from Martel about a mother keeping a father from his kids, and fathers matter too. At first, fans thought it was just more of Martel's usual theatrics. But then, the truth came out. Martel had officially filed for full custody of their children. Yes, full custody. The move shocked even his most loyal defenders. It was a bold, audacious step, and for many, it crossed a sacred line. Melody had always been visibly present in her children's lives, from school runs to playdates, birthdays to family vacations. Even while battling lupus, she prioritized their well-being above all. So why would Martel go to such lengths? Insiders claim that Martel's legal filing included accusations that Melody's illness rendered her unfit to care for the children full-time. Others suggested he was using her vulnerability as a legal weapon. And when word got out that Martel was demanding child support, jaws dropped across social media. The man who had been repeatedly called out for cheating, emotional abuse, and irresponsible behavior was now positioning himself as the more stable parent. The audacity was unreal. Melody, ever the composed queen, didn't respond with rage, at least not publicly. Instead, she leaned into her faith and her support system. But behind closed doors, she was devastated. Friends close to her said she wept for nights, not because she feared losing custody, but because she couldn't believe the man she once loved would stoop this low. "I've fought for my children every single day," Melody reportedly told a friend, "even when I was sick, even when I had nothing left in me, and now he wants to take them away because I'm finally being honest about my pain." The legal battle was brutal. Every aspect of Melody's life was scrutinized: her health, her finances, her parenting style, even her social media posts. Martel's team allegedly tried to paint her as unstable, suggesting that her emotional breakdowns and fatigue could endanger the kids. But Melody didn't back down. In court, she presented documentation from her doctors, glowing school reports, letters from teachers praising her children's academic and emotional development, all proving she was not only capable but thriving as a mother. What's more, Melody's legal team turned the tables, questioning Martel's own history: multiple infidelities, erratic behavior, and most importantly, the emotional toll he had already inflicted on their children during the public collapse of their marriage. The drama reached a fever pitch when, during a hearing, Melody allegedly had to recount moments of physical intimidation and verbal abuse she endured at Martel's hands. Witnesses say the courtroom was silent, every word like a dagger, exposing the underbelly of their once glamorous relationship. In the end, the judge ruled in favor of joint custody, with Melody maintaining primary physical custody. But the damage had been done. The custody case wasn't just a legal fight. It was a symbolic war over narrative, power, and control. And though she technically won, Melody walked away more exhausted and emotionally scarred than ever before. What hurt the most, sources say, was not the custody battle itself, but that it had to happen at all, that the father of her children would use her illness as a sword, rather than offering support in her darkest hour. Still, Melody did what she always does. She kept moving. And now, with custody secured and her health journey out in the open, she turned her eyes to something else. Something bold, controversial, and potentially explosive. She was ready to tell all.